Podcast for life.
Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's boss time! I know it's not as good as Michael Cole, I'm sorry, but I'm happy. You know the name, you know the voice, you know exactly why I'm here. Just in case if you don't, I'm a 23-year-old piece of gold, the messiah of the microphone, the greatest sports and recreational podcaster in the world today, the Pod Father. And you know he's on the line. I never go anywhere without him. He's my tag team partner. He's the Jimmy to my J. He's the Telly to my Arn, the Stevie Ray to my Booker T. He's the Scott Dawson to my Dash Wilder. He's the current reigning 7-time Bullet Cash champion, BT, the Canadian Destroyer, Brandon Tanguma. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. It's a little bit of a scorcher over here in the East Bay.
Yeah.
But it's okay. The A's got a W against the Giants today. I just came home from Rita's having a luscious watermelon ice to cool me down, so it's okay.
Rita's where? In Castro Valley?
Oh, yeah.
But you right by my house? You could have dropped by, man.
I could have. We could have done a live podcast. We haven't done one of those since the young boy appeared.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, we're going to do other live shows, ladies and gentlemen, together. Like our end of the year show. I figured we should do that together. Kind of play off each other's reactions. But so we're gonna jump right into Outside of the Ring. So the wrestling world has been talking about this for about a week and a half now. Hulk Hogan was on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. I forgot to talk about it last week, but I finally listened to it and I was talking to Brandon. I'm like, dude, we have to talk about this. So it was interesting because Hogan's always been known to be kind of a tool. That's just the bottom line. Not because Stone Cold said so, but yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that he was saying, I mean, he said that Vern Gagne wanted him to date his daughter. Oh, yeah, he wanted that to happen, brother. What are your thoughts on that specific topic? And then the podcast overall?
Well, I had it saved in the queue for a long time because that was kind of the first big interview or big podcast Stone Cold's done since returning back into the podcasting game. You told me to listen to it, and I've just finished it yesterday. It was an interesting podcast, to say the least. I mean, I always, keep a close eye on what Hulk Hogan says because he's always there to get Hulk Hogan over. And he'll say like one bad thing about himself, but then he'll use that to say some other good things about himself. And the Vern Gagne thing, I don't know what's it to be true or not. And I did find kind of interesting that like the only like real stories he definitely got into and like kind of got in depth a little bit on was like stories involving Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior, and obviously those two men can't tell their side of the story, so I just found that a little convenient that those are the kind of two stories that Hulk Hogan really delve into deeply.
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny to me just because I thought Brutus the Barber Beefcake was his best friend. He said, oh, no, I was friends with his older brother, He was kind of like a little sick puppy, We'd tell him we're leaving at 9, but we'd really leave at 7 a.m., And then it's just, I'm like, oh, my God, you're burying this guy. Like, when I saw Brutus at StarCast, he's on the phone. I'm like, oh, he's probably talking to Terry. Like, he just buried this dude. He said Randy was really his true best friend. And I know they were good friends at one point, but, they had that falling out. And it's just like, what? And obviously, Macho Man's not here to talk about it like you just said. Maybe Lanny has some insight into their real friendship there, because I know he was on the Dark Side of the Ring episode. But it's just like, dude, what are you talking about? And then he's talking about he had the idea for Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He wanted to be Triple H before Triple H was even in existence, and this is in the early 90s after Warrior beats him for the title. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like what, Brandon? What's wrong with Terry Bollea?
I mean, I said it. Hulk Hogan always has a history of trying to rewrite history to make himself look good or to try to make himself smarter than he actually is. I mean, the whole heel turn after WrestleMania 6, it makes sense. I mean, business-wise, Hulk Hogan was really strong at that point, but yet he was kind of faltering. Definitely wasn't his height like the mid to late 80s, but I mean, it could have been really interesting to see what a heel Hulk Hogan could have done in the WWF. I mean, I think a story that I found kind of interesting was like he basically took credit for the entire like Macho Man gimmick. He said that he's the one that like brought Mach over to like his, seamstress or whoever, and he wanted to give him all these tassels and everything, and Randy wasn't really into it. He thought it was a rib. So I found that one kind of maybe not laughable, but just kind of interesting that Hulk Hogan took credit for the Macho Man gimmick.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, like, why are you lying about this, man? Like, Macho Man was being flamboyant. What promotion did he used to work for before he got to WWF? I don't know it off the top of my head, but he was doing that stuff back then, and then it just grew over time. Like, I don't know what's up with this guy, man. And then I just saw him on, what was that, Inside Edition, that other news talk show, not talk show, but news show or whatever. He was in some Uber on a tarmac, and he was like, "Oh, I got a private Uber, brother." And I'm just like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan's a character, and he was kind of shunned away from maybe the public eye, or definitely the wrestling world, for a few years now. And now that WWE has kind of brought him back, I think now he's trying to re-sculpt his image and try to make himself seem like a good guy. And they didn't talk about what happened, all those years ago with Bubba Love Sponge's wife. But
this is another thing, man. Like, Peter Rosenberg and Stat Guy Greg from Cheap Heat, they were talking about this last week, and Peter said he would get two things. One, to get a deeper dive into the stuff that we don't know about Terry Bollea the man, because, we don't know. Like, Terry Bollea has been Hulk Hogan for so many years. I think Terry Bollea is dead, kind of like how Richard Fliehr doesn't exist anymore. It's just Ric Flair. But anyway, going back to that, and, like, to talk about what happened, because Hogan's never really apologized. He allegedly apologized into the locker room, and basically all the black wrestlers walked out. That's what I heard. But he has not given a real formal apology and a statement. He could have thrown something on Instagram. By the way, the whole social media thing, I got 10 million followers, brother. I don't know, is that good? I don't know how to use it. I got a guy. You know how to use Instagram and Twitter, dude. You've been doing it for years. Don't stop being a mark for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like when he did that apology, what I heard was, the takeaway from that apology was, make sure that you're not being recorded instead of not being a racist. That's what it seemed like. That's what his apology was.
Yeah, man. So it's just the guy's just a tool, But Baby Huey said that Hogan was great with him when he met him. He may be a nice guy that made him. Racism is not a mistake. I'm not even gonna go there. But look, man, it's just like I said, Hulk Hogan, the character. Appreciate everything you've done for this business. Terry Bollea, the man, if he still does exist, I'm not messing with it. I'm just not,
I mean, I'm not going to say I lost respect for him because of this, but I always knew that Hulk Hogan was always in the business of promoting and getting over Hulk Hogan, even, since he became a professional wrestler. I mean, he even said, like, in the podcast that he was maybe a little bit of a headache, and, sometimes he'd quit, then he'd come back, and Hulk Hogan's always in the business of promoting Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan's always in the business of putting himself over, brother. He's making sure whoever he's going up against is looking up at the lights, brother.
Well, in the podcast, he said it's not about, he had no problem doing jobs. It's just what happens next. And that's always his defense of, especially in WCW, is he wasn't trying to put himself over. He was just trying to tell a good story or whatever. But, it is what it is. And I don't take anything he says too seriously.
I think the one thing that I really did find interesting was he's talking about all these injuries he has and all these 9 back surgeries. And that's wrestling like Hulk Hogan. So, like, Ricochet he probably won't be able to walk in the next 10 to 15, 20, the way he wrestles, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but also it was the schedule. He was probably wrestling maybe twice as many matches as Ricochet might, and the rings were like so much harder and so much stiffer in WWF even compared to WCW at that time. But now the WWE ring is, much more, not safer, but definitely a much more cushioned ring. It's a lot easier to take bumps and, do high flying stuff and stuff like that. And as he said, he wished he would have not done the leg drop, maybe, for health reasons and also for, other I think gimmick reasons, what his reasoning was, but definitely the leg drop also plays a part into why his body is in the shape it's in.
I mean, no, yeah, absolutely. The guy used to be like, 6'8", now he's like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, for as big as he was, he did get a lot of height on that leg drop. You cannot lie.
I think WWE like put out something on Instagram either today or yesterday. It was like, who had the big boot? Who had the best big boot? And by far, I think it's Hulk Hogan.
Oh, when he hit you with that boot, you went down, brother. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Looking up at the lights every time.
Yeah, I think Test had a better big boot than Hulk Hogan. I'll say it.
Well, Test, I don't think he was on the. He was not on the poll.
See, I'm a wrestling historian. That's why I'll credit Test. You know. All right. I mean, Sheamus's bro kick is technically a big boot. Yeah.
He was on the list as well. It was like him. I think Roman Reigns was on there for God knows what reason.
Oh, he started doing that like a year and a half ago. Threw him on there.
I know, but I don't think of when I think of a big boot, I don't think of Roman Reigns.
Okay, I'll take it back. Sheamus has the best big boot of all time.
Moving on.
Moving on. SummerSlam 2020 is gonna be in Boston, Massachusetts. You know, if you're a Bostonian or on the East Coast, you're obviously gonna go to the show. Brandon, we out 2020?
Possibly, maybe, we get some media credentials, we can do interviews and all this other stuff, but I am a little salty. I like the days back in the early 2000s or the early 2010s where SummerSlam was like always in LA. It was like, 6-7 years in a row. And then, of course, I go to 2014, and that's the last one they've been to in LA. So I'm a little salty that SummerSlam hasn't come back to LA since then. But now they're going up to the East Coast in Toronto, of all places. Who wants to go to Toronto?
Dude, bro,
for their summertime vacation?
Bro, listen to me, bro. Why are you messing up? Why are you talking about my town? I think we've been through this.
I think I'd much rather go to La La Land than go to Toronto. I mean, look at Kawhi. Kawhi went to La La Land instead of staying in Toronto. I'm just saying. Dude, put it out there.
Why are you talking about my town? By the way, go check out the Bulletcast Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. It gave a great tribute to the Queen of the Six, Trish Stratus. You know, she officially retired at SummerSlam. I had to throw that out there. Shout out to all that Stratus faction. But yeah, I mean, 2020 Boston, it should be a good year. We'll see. All right, so the NWA is apparently going to be starting TV in October. Weekly television. They're going to do in Atlanta, Georgia, kind of the old studio feel, where there's a small studio audience and the ring's right in the middle. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's no official date or when the TV will start. They will do TV
October
tapings.
October 4th. I'm just playing.
They will do TV tapings late September, early October, where we don't exactly know when and where everything's going to be taking place, but if you thought the wrestling television scene was packed, especially in October, it's going to get even worse. Now, I mean, people forget about like MLW and, Impact and even like Glow or WoW, whatever it's called, is coming, I think is going to be back for like a second season. And then New Japan, and there's just so much wrestling on cable television, let alone on the internet.
I mean, the whole thing with MLW, I can just find them on YouTube real quick. Just go to their channel. They're not a problem. Maybe we should just do Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and NWA, Brandon.
Maybe, but
it's a
lot of stuff to talk about. Especially, there's New Japan and Impact and all this other things. So, especially October time, we might be changing days. We might see where everything lands.
Yeah, exactly. Because, the Raw we're going to is going to be the last time that Raw and SmackDown are back-to-back. Because that next week, that's when Fox kicks in, baby.
And then 20th anniversary, big show for SmackDown. It's also going to be taken in La La Land a couple days, I think, before they come back up to NorCal for Hell in a Cell in Sacramento.
Yep. All right, so we're going to keep talking about Fox and FS1. NXT is reportedly going to be moving there on Wednesdays, and they're going to be having a 2-hour show, so basically competing with AEW.
Yeah, I mean, NXT is a really good show at 1 hour. I enjoy it. Maybe it's fallen off a little bit comparative to past years, but, I mean, this is a big move. I mean, in a conference call before TakeOver last week, Triple H pretty much, he said it without actually confirming it, that's what's going to happen. There hasn't been, like, a press release or any official announcement yet. But I think another thing to talk about here is, like, how does this affect the network? Because, honestly, probably maybe half of people are watching have the WWE Network to watch NXT and the pay-per-views, and then you take away NXT, how many people are actually just there to watch NXT? And if you take that away, and if they're going to put it up on FS1, and if it's like we're on SmackDowns where it takes a month to get it on the network, is that going to affect network subscriptions? Because network subscriptions have kind of peaked and maybe even fallen off a little bit within the past few months to a year.
I don't know. I mean, Brandon, do you have the network to just watch NXT?
I mean, honestly, I only honestly use it for NXT and pay-per-views. I don't like sometimes I'll go and like watch some old stuff. Like I said it last week. Like I on the recap show, I watched the Alexa Bliss 365 special, and then you told me like, oh, that thing's been out for a while. So I don't really go out of my way to watch some of those documentaries, even though they are very well produced and they do a lot better job of getting the talent over than the main product does. But I mean, shout out to the WWE Performance Center YouTube channel. They put out fantastic stuff, especially during Takeover weekends. They put out a fantastic little 5-minute piece on the Street Profits Day. It was amazing stuff.
I'm actually gonna have to go check that out. I mean, I have the network just because I love wrestling. I mean, I think we all love wrestling. That's why we talk about this. That's why we continue to watch it through the ups and the low downs that every product gives us, not just WWE, but every wrestling product. But again, don't if let's say it takes a month to get an episode of NXT up there, don't just stop having a network. Don't unsubscribe or whatever. I mean, there's so much stuff. People love the Attitude Era. That's what it's basically here for. Here, go watch Stone Cold in a beer truck. Go watch the New Age Outlaws in '98. Go watch all that stuff. So don't just stop subscribing to the network just because the developmental brand takes a little while to get up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe by this time next year, maybe after WrestleMania, they implement the tier system where they're gonna have multiple tiers. Maybe we're gonna get Evolve shows and other indie shows that for like whatever the $15 or $13 price point. So, I mean, maybe NXT will still be a calling card for people with the network, but maybe they're gonna add some even more benefits to the network. So it's gonna be interesting these upcoming few months, especially in October, to see how the network looks with NXT reportedly moving. I mean, and with it going to 2 hours, I'm not a big fan of that because at 1 hour, it's easily digestible. It's fun. I mean, they can have maybe one solid match in there, but then everything else is kind of squash matches and building up and doing video packages. So 2 hours, that's a different ballgame, especially for it to be a developmental show.
Yeah, man. So look, I had that the guy who DMs us, Kawam Shakir 90. I was talking to him about that, and he said it's going to be oversaturated. That's not the case, man. Like, how often do we see Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown? How often do we see Mandy and Sonya? We didn't see Finn Balor for quite some time. We're just now starting to see Buddy Murphy. Like we didn't see everybody on SmackDown every single week, and SmackDown's 2 hours, so I don't think it'll become oversaturated. I do think guys and girls who don't get on NXT will have more time to work matches and stuff like that, and so I think that's good. So I think we're gonna be okay here.
But then there might be a reason why they're not on television, and maybe they're suited to have a 5-minute match and not a 12-minute match. So that's also something to look out for.
That is also something to look out for. You're right. You're absolutely right, Brandon. I'm sorry, man. I apologize. I really do. So you want to move on?
Let's do it.
Joe Hendry, the former Progress champion, he signs with Ring of Honor. Joe Hendry, I've liked this guy for quite some time now. He was in WCPW Defiant. He kind of fell off the scene after that, and so I'm gonna have a reason to kind of go out of my way to search up some Ring of Honor stuff now. Thoughts on Joe Hendry?
I've heard good stuff about him, pretty much as you said, from the WCPW side of things. I think he was on What Culture a few times doing angles and doing little things there. So he is kind of an entertaining character. ROH, we keep saying, like, they've fallen off, and maybe Impact has even taken them over as the number 3 product in North America. I mean, with ROH, it's a good get. I don't know if he's going to be, a top guy in the mix, but we're going to have to stay tuned and find out what he can do.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-tootly. All right, Simon Gotch. Well, remember him. He was a vaudevillain, a former NXT Tag Team Champion, alongside Aiden English. He buries Dave Meltzer. Just completely buries the guy.
What did he say, Philip? Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Let me pull it up. I don't believe in star ratings. Meltzer is an idiot, and the only smart thing that could come out of his mouth would be a bullet that entered through the back of his head.
Well, that seems a little excessive.
Yeah. I'm like, look, I don't believe in star ratings either. That's why, I'm over here giving grades, because I'm not afraid to. But, yeah, man, thoughts on that?
I mean, I said that seems a little excessive. I mean, you can disagree with stuff about what he says and, star ratings, all this stuff. But once you, make, not death threats, but, when you're saying somebody should be dead, that's a little too much for my liking.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, you shouldn't wish death on anybody, but that was that was a little excessive, like you said. So we're gonna move on from that. Glow. We all know Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Season 3 premiered last week. I mean, come on, man. I'm on the second episode right now. I've been slacking. I really have. But I mean, it has all your favorite characters are back. They're in Las Vegas this time. Awesome Kong is in here. I should have talked to her at Starcast about the show because it's fantastic. But yeah, Brandon, have you seen the season 3 Glow yet?
I'm right there with you. I've been slacking a little bit. I think I'm on either episode 4. I've seen episode 3. I think I'm getting ready to watch episode 4. It's good with it being in Las Vegas. It kind of gives it an extra dynamic to the show. They're telling stories, and now, they're kind of more well-developed characters, and you're in love with them. And they're definitely telling some good stories. I mean, they were like Emmy nominated for a whole bunch of different categories. So nice to see them do well. And I mean, I have nothing to really disagree with or really praise all that much since I'm so far early into the season, but maybe, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, maybe we can have an official Glow recap.
Oh, that'd be great, man. That would be awesome, All right, we're going to move into the All Elite Wrestling news. So we have coming up in Boston, Massachusetts, it's their second weekly televised show, Shawn Spears versus Jon Moxley. That's a hell of a way to kick off week number 2 on TV.
That is, a big match with both guys. I mean, seemingly, you would think Jon Moxley would be the babyface in that situation, and similar to the Jon Moxley Juice Robinson G1 Climax match, it's a match that could have been something in WWE. We could have saw, Juice and Moxley at SummerSlam, or Shawn Spears and Moxley at SummerSlam, but just different set of things happened, and both of those men or all three of those men are outside of WWE, and they're doing much better things right now. But I mean, we're only on like 3 weeks of television, and they're announcing all these things. I'm not skeptical or worried quite yet, but they're giving a lot away right now on these first few episodes of television. It's all fine and dandy for the first few months, but then what happens when you're 2-3 years in, and you only have a couple extra new talents in there, and you're trying to struggle to create fresh matchups and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. But something even bigger than that's going to happen. Their third week of TV, they're going to be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October 16th. The first AEW World Championship defense. We don't know who it's going to go to. So Adam Page and Chris Jericho are wrestling for the title at All Out. August 31st, last day of the month. Brandon and I were supposed to be there, but things came up. Things came up. But yeah, man. So I mean, we could talk about the winner of the inaugural champion once we get to that point. But who do you think the challenger would be coming up on that episode of AEW TV?
I mean, it kind of depends on where you go. I mean, honestly, MJF seems like a good challenger either way. I mean, he's had his issues with both Chris Jericho and Adam Page. I don't know if they're going to elevate him to that level. Yeah, I mean, MJF, he's a good wrestler. I think he can be a good guy to be kind of the first title defense, and he just can lose, but he can rebuild himself, with his talking and everything like that. I think MJF would be my pick. I think either way, I mean, it's kind of hard because Chris Jericho is a heel, but I think no matter what, he's going to always get cheered in those AEW crowds.
Yeah, man. On SmackDown, when Charlotte locked in that Boston Crab, loud Y2J chant. Very loud. We're going to talk about that. Also, Orange Cassidy is All Elite. Yes, the guy that wrestles with sunglasses on and his hands in his pockets. He is signed with All Elite Wrestling.
Good get for AEW. He made a quick little appearance at Double or Nothing in the Casino Battle Royale. I like his work. I mean, people might just, poo-poo him because they see the stuff with him, as you said, with the sunglasses and the hands in his pocket. I mean, he was one of those kind of breakout stars, I think, over WrestleMania weekend. He was in a few matches. I think he was in a match with SCU at the WrestleCon event. That was the only real match I saw him in. And the first time I really saw him, and I was kind of impressed with him. He's a funny guy. And I mean, he does those spots early on in the match, but then as the match progresses, he can really work. So don't let the gimmick fool you.
All right, so Orange Cassidy, possible breakout star 2019 for the Cassidy Awards.
Quite possibly, we'll have to see what he does in AEW. I will give him credit. They have built up especially in the men's division, quite a good roster thus far.
Quite a damn good roster. All right, he is the current WWN and Evolve champion. Austin Theory has signed with WWE. We saw him in the crowd at NXT TakeOver Toronto 2. What are your thoughts on Austin Theory joining WWE?
We talked about him after that Evolve show that was on the network, going head-to-head with AEW. I mean, we both are high on him. He's a young guy. I think, what'd you say, like he's 21 or something like that.
Yeah, he's younger than the both of us.
I know, it's a damn shame. But he's a good heel, good wrestler. It was kind of funny that, it's the NXT crowd, so you would think they're smart, but yet Austin Theory, does his little run-in or whatever. And he didn't get a pop, if any pop. It was kind of funny / sad.
Hey, now the kid's good, all right. I can call him a kid because he's younger than me. The kid's good, Chris Van Vliet. I'm gonna put over Chris again. He interviewed Austin at the beginning of the year, because John Cena posted a picture of Austin Theory, and John just doesn't post pictures of anybody. You've had Kenny Omega, you have constant Big E posts, you had AJ Styles, and you have Austin Theory. So Austin's in a nice little great class right there when it comes to being pictures of him being posted. Yeah.
I mean, he's 21, so it's kind of like the Velveteen Dream thing. He can only get better as he gets older.
Oh, abso-freaking-totin'-lotely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to change over to Inside of the Ring. I popped on Monday night for a couple things. I popped so hard, so hard for this. Ladies and gentlemen, the King of the Ring tournament is back. It is back, baby. I was an amateur wrestler in high school. I'm an amateur wrestling coach now. Love tournaments. Love 16, 32-man brackets, quarterfinals, semifinals, consolation rounds, consolation champions, third round. I love it all, man. I love tournaments. I'm so incredibly happy that the King of the Ring is back. This can make or break your career. I mean, look at Austin. Austin 316. We're possibly going to have an Owens 316 moment if Owens wins King of the Ring. You add Owen Hart becoming the King of Hearts. Brandon, what are your thoughts on King of the Ring being back?
Well, you say you love tournaments so much, and yet you didn't really watch any of the G1 Climax. Is it because it's a round-robin tournament, so you have something against those type of tournaments? Is that why?
I've lost quite a few round-robin tournaments, so yeah, they hold a dastardly place in my mind.
Okay, but anyways, getting back to King of the Ring, I mean, it kind of did come out of nowhere. They have a good class, I think, of wrestlers, and as you said, I think Kevin Owens is definitely one of those guys that I would see to win King of the Ring, just because, I mean, you can put him over strong, you can have really good matches. My only thing is, every time they do the King of the Ring tournament, whoever wins always gets a stupid king gimmick.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like Harley Race, R.I.P. He was the first to get the scepter. I'm gonna read you off the participants. We have Ali, Andrade Cien Almas, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, Buddy Effin Murphy, Cedric Alexander, Cesaro, Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, Elias, Kevin Owens, The Miz, Ricochet, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and Shelton Benjamin. Hell of a class here.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, maybe not the biggest in terms of star power. You don't got, some of the guys in there, but, it should be a good tournament. I think my early pick for the finals would maybe be Kevin Owens versus Samoa Joe or Drew McIntyre. I think that can be a good, solid thing. WWE doesn't like tournaments all that well because they don't like to, you can't promote big matches, but now that WWE is more in the business of promoting WWE instead of matches and specific stars, it makes sense, especially in this era where there's so much good wrestling. I mean, I assume it's going to, culminate at Clash of Champions possibly, which could be a whole lot of fun. So let's just see what happens.
Look, I'm going to call it right here. I think Drew McIntyre wins, and here's why. The last 3 King of the Rings, 2008, 2010, 2015, all from the UK. All right, you had Regal, you had Sheamus, you had Bad News Barrett. It's just a British, Scottish, UK gimmick. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get your drift, but I still think that the right move is going all in.
Oh.
No pun intended, with Kevin Owens, because I just am loving what he's doing right now. Maybe I'm not feeling the whole Shane McMahon continuing that storyline right now, but I do think there's still something with him.
If Shane had beat him, it'd be over. It'd be over. But no.
I would have liked to get like fat El Generico who speaks French. El Generico's French cousin shows up on SmackDown. I would have liked that. That could have been fun.
You know they're not going to acknowledge that. Come on now.
I can always dream.
Yeah. You know what I will acknowledge, though? Kenta, the former Hideo Itami, the creator of the Go to Sleep, has joined the BC. No, not the Bullet Cast, but the Bullet Club, baby! Thoughts on Kenta joining the BC?
I mean, it was a shocker. I didn't watch it live. I was trying to catch up on the G1 Climax to watch the finals live. So I didn't actually see this live, but I saw it on the Twitter, and I went back and watched it the day later. Phenomenal angle. I mean, Kenta was always kind of an a-hole throughout the tournament, and then he turns on Ishii and Yoshihashi, and it was just amazing. And then Shibata comes in, Kenta's friend, his trainer, and he just comes in and lays out Kenta, giving him one of the stiffest looking drop kicks you'll ever see in your life. And then then he whoops up on Shibata, sitting on his chest, doing his special pose, maybe angle of the year. I don't know, but it was amazing. And Shibata did some in-ring work, but I've heard reports that he hasn't been cleared to wrestle yet. But if we get Shibata versus Kenta at WrestleMania, oh my God, it's gonna be amazing.
At WrestleMania?
Wrestle Kingdom.
I was about to say.
I mean, if we get a WrestleMania, that we I don't know how we get there, but I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
The work rate would be insane. Yeah, man. Tama Tonga tweeted out and put on Instagram that they got a new member. This wouldn't have crossed my mind. It really wouldn't have. And then photos started surfacing of Kenta wearing a Bullet Club shirt when he first signs with NXT. They were like, this was the plan all along. But yeah, man, every time they get a new member, it freshens them up in a way. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I mean, I wasn't really watching New Japan or Bullet Club when AJ had his run there. But Cody, Kenny, the Bucks, Marty, Hangman, basically the Elite. That's my favorite era of Bullet Club. I'm not going to lie, man. It was fun. Those being the Elites, they were fire every single Monday. There was a magic to it that won't be duplicated, man. But I'm happy for Kenta. Is Jay White still the leader, or what's going on?
Well, I do like Kenta being integrated into the Bullet Club because you do have that connection to Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. So maybe they can play off that just a little bit. And Jay White is the leader of Bullet Club right now. But there's always kind of that thing where there's always kind of tension to where AJ kicked out Devitt, then Kenny kicked out AJ, then Switchblade kicks out Kenny. So maybe we can see Kenta kicking out Jay White as the leader.
Tongans kicked out the Elite.
Yeah, I mean, we can see stuff like that, and I mean Kenta going up against Jay White could be amazing. I don't know where you see. I mean, who would be the babyface in that situation? Because I think both of them are just phenomenal heels right now. Jay White. I mean, last year I wasn't really high on him. I didn't really think he really fit the gimmick, but I mean, Jay White, wrestler of the year, possibly heel of the year, definitely. Possibly wrestler of the year. The match he had with Kota Ibushi in the finals, fantastic. And let's talk about those finals.
Ladies and gentlemen, the former IWGP Intercontinental Champion, one half of the Golden Lovers, Kota Ibushi, is the winner of the 2019 G1 Climax. He will be facing whoever is the IWGP Champion on my birthday, January 4th, 2020, in the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, at the beginning of the tournament, I picked Ibushi versus Naito, and Naito winning in the end. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Naito didn't even make the finals, but Ibushi goes on to win the whole thing. I was very excited. The match, as I said with Jay White, phenomenal. 5 stars. Maybe not as good as last year's final with Ibushi and Tanahashi, but it was just, with all these matches in the G1 Climax, they're just such a high level. It's almost like these NXT takeovers. It's just kind of hard to pick which one's the best. And with Ibushi, he is going to defend his rights to go to Wrestle Kingdom against Ishii and Kenta. So that's going to be a fun time. I think he's defending against Ishii. And definitely Kenta. I'm pretty sure it's Ishii. But he also talked about in a press conference that quite possibly on that 2-day Wrestle Kingdom, maybe he wrestles for both the IC title and the heavyweight championships. So maybe Kota Ibushi, instead of being Naito, walks out as the dual champion.
Wait, Wrestle Kingdom is going to be 2 days?
Yes, Philip. It has been announced ever since this year's Wrestle Kingdom that it's going to be 2 days.
What? I have not heard such a thing.
Well, now you know. You're only what's it? You're only like 8 months late, but here we are.
Wow. Okay, man. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Wrestle Kingdom will be 2 days, January 4th and 5th. Yes.
I don't have the calendar in front of me. It's whatever Saturday and Sunday is of that time.
Okay. Yep. You heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. All right. Well, hey, shout out. But we're gonna move on here on the BC. We have a long show to get through. So this day in wrestling, WCW Road Wild 1999. I believe Hulk Hogan defeats Kevin Nash for the WCW World Title. There's a Raw on this day in 2006. Lita defeats Mickie James for the Women's Title. SummerSlam. It was in LA, 2011. You have that awesome match with Triple H as a special guest referee as both WWE champions CM Punk and John Cena face off against each other. Winner becomes undisputed WWE champion. Punk wins. Alberto Del Rio cashes in, wins the WWE title. Fozzie's fifth studio album was released on this day in 2012. There was a Raw on this day in 2017. It's when Pac, Neville, loses the Cruiserweight title to Akira Tozawa. Happy birthday to the former NXT champion, Johnny Gargano. You are 32 years old. Kofi Kingston, baby! The current reigning WWE World Heavyweight Champion is 38. And RIP to the Nature Boy, Buddy Lando. He would have been 58.
Yeah, happy birthday to Gargano and Kingston. Gargano having possibly one of the greatest WWE hardcore matches of all time on Saturday, and Kofi Kingston still doing damn good work as WWE champion.
Johnny, what hell of a run in NXT, eh? Now he's 205 Live bound.
Is that official? I don't watch 205 Live, so I don't know if he showed up on 205 Live yesterday or not.
I don't know, man. Chad Gable's been having some bangers on there with Jack Gallagher, man. Those things have been awesome. Those matches have been really good.
There's too much stuff to keep up with.
Dude,
too much wrestling.
Honestly,
right now.
I'm waiting for Chad Gable to take the title off of Drew Gulak.
I'm waiting for Chad Gable to go to AEW.
Dude, wow. Chad Gable's his real... Yeah, it's his real name, so we can use it. Okay. For sure. Chad Gable to AEW. He's all elite, goddammit. Alright, we're going to get into the fan mail. Hootie Who 420.
Hootie Who.
I've been thinking a lot about it, and Orton should have beat Kofi on Sunday. Here's why. And here's how it goes. The spot with Kofi's family happens earlier in the match. Kofi gets aggressive, gets really, really aggressive on Randy, and then he throws him back in the ring. He makes sure his family's okay, and then he hits that splash he was going for, and BAM! RKO. 1, 2, 3. New champion Orton, and then Kofi chases Randy.
I mean, I am a fan of the Kofi Kingston run right now, so I would kind of want to keep it on him and not have him, hot potato the title back and forth. I think just having him lose or having him win, or maybe not win, but just keeping the title. You could have done a DQ finish, or you could have done other kind of smudge. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the double count out, especially since it wasn't explicit of what happened during that match, but I would keep Kofi Kingston strong. I mean, not strong, but, have him hold the title for a long time, just so it means that much more when he actually loses it. Because if he loses the title to Randy Orton, we've been there, done that with him. And if you have him lose, let's say to Brock Lesnar or to a heel turn to Roman Reigns, and, they cost Kofi Kingston whatever, his 9-10 month title reign, I think that means a lot more than Randy Orton just winning it for whatever, like the 15th time.
I'm all in favor with Randy Orton winning his 14th World Championship. I love it. I'm down. You know I love being in the age of Orton, Brandon.
You're all alone on that one.
I don't think I am, I think
on
everybody
this podcast you are.
I think wow. You're just gonna... He might as well be from Canada. You hate Randy Orton.
I don't hate him. I just am not a big fan of him.
Wow. Alright, Jack of all trades. I was hoping The Fiend would interrupt the Universal title match at SummerSlam. Bray costs Rollins the title, Lesnar retains, and then Wyatt versus Rollins, in which Rollins loses and turns heel again. They're fantasy booking the damn territory here. I love it.
I would keep they didn't have The Fiend on Raw, and maybe some people were complaining, and there's also reports of them taking the footage of the head lantern off the YouTube clip, so maybe that's going to be it. It's going to be nixed out of the character. But, I like what they're doing right now with The Fiend. Don't overexpose him. He wasn't on Raw. Maybe he shows up next week, and that's kind of a hook. So, I mean, I like the way they're booking it. I don't think you go with him, right now in the championship picture, just because, I mean, unless you're going to have him win, which I don't know if they'd really have him win, I don't think you want to have The Fiend lose this early.
No, the Fiend shouldn't lose at all. He should not lose at all. Hell, he should just have a run and just win the damn title. Honestly, Brandon, I might be the Fiend for Halloween. I don't know, man.
I mean, they're selling those masks right now. I saw
It's
on Raw there was like a guy in the mask, like fourth row, right in front of the hard camera.
it's either I'm the Fiend or I'm Goldust. I don't know. Well, we'll make these decisions later as time goes along. All right, Alfie Lewis. Yeah. What are your top 3 rappers of all time and your current top 3 favorite rappers? And he says, let me guess, Philip All Drake. No, man. No. Brandon, do you want to go first?
So there's 2 different lists. So there's one
Top 3 favorite all time first.
Okay, so it's my personal favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're gonna go 1 through 3, I don't know if I'd want to put this in any particular order. Maybe off the dome. I mean, I'd probably put Lil Wayne, maybe Eminem. I love Lil Wayne. Carter 3 is the best rap album of all time. I said it. Hot takes.
Bro, and then my cousin told me that Gucci Mane's the greatest rapper alive today. I'm like, you're drunk. That's disgusting. Ew.
I mean, the Carter 5 is not that bad. I actually really enjoyed it. It's my personal favorite. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's top 3 of all time, but it's my personal favorite. This is my list, Philip.
Dude, look,
I go with Lil Wayne.
Hey, bro, look, if you like guys that rap like "Rain on my head," I call that brainstorming. Got my grandma on speed dial. That's my Instagram. Weezy Daisy. If you like that, bro, that's all you.
Real G is moving silence like lasagna. I mean, come on. Anyways, so I'll go with Lil Wayne. Kanye, I love Kanye. Love the rapping. Not a fan of the politicking, but so maybe Kanye gets thrown in there. I mean, it's so hard. There's just so many. I love Kendrick. I love Eminem. Maybe I'll throw Eminem in there as well. I mean, a lot of kind of older guys. Maybe current rappers. Now that you want me to make my favorite current rappers, I mean, Kendrick definitely in there. I love T Grizzly. Shout out T Grizzly. He's the man, and then maybe 21 as well. So maybe some pop guys or some mainstream guys.
You like 21 Savage? What?
21 Savage is fire. So I'm gonna go 21 T Grizzly and K Dot
as your current ones.
My current top 3.
All right. My all-time. Pac's number 1 for me. I know that's hella cliche, but Pac was a poet. He was a revolutionary, man. He's number 1. Biggie's number 2. I mean, he was the greatest lyricist ever. Like he was just so smooth, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, it was so smooth. I loved it. And then my number 3 of all time, I could go Big Pun. I could do that. My number 3, it's up for debate. I'd have to really sit down and think about that. But number 1, Pac. Number 2, Biggie. And then 3 current favorites. Not in any particular order. J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake.
I like to make an executive decision.
Yeah.
Kanye West is, maybe he's considered a rapper, but I'm going to throw him out and I'm going to put Pac in there.
Yeah, you got to, man.
Especially since that atrocious rap list that came out last week and had Pac at 15. The New York bias on that list and the disrespect to the West Coast was insane.
Dude,
they had like Ice Cube in 40 or whatever.
I know. By the way, No Vaseline by Ice Cube, the greatest diss track of all time. No one will ever beat that. You can try, but you won't. And then Peter Rosenberg did one, and he put Tupac at number 20. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Pac is easily top 5, top 3 of all time.
But we all know Joe Budden's number 3.
We all know Joey Badass he's up there. Lil Pump, you know. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from those. We do have other fan mail that we do need to get to. Oh wait, no, Alfie wasn't done. He said, "P.S. Brandon, if I email you again, will I get a timely response and mention on Under the Radar? Because now we have Jericho Goldberg heat, brother."
Well, every single episode, I think, on the podcast on Under the Radar, I have checked. the under the radar mailbag. If we check it right now, I'm pretty sure it's dry, just like my DMs are.
Like your personal DMs?
Oh yeah, not the Bulletcast DMs, because those are just so moist.
Okay.
Nope, we have nothing on under the radar right now. So if you want to email it, I'm probably gonna do a recording tomorrow. So send it my way. We can hash it all out, my brother.
We can. All right. Kawam Shakir 90 on Instagram. What do you think about Vince and Kevin Dunn becoming more involved with NXT as it goes to 2 hours in October? All right, I'll put it like this. Hunter, he's done an amazing job, but he has 8 years of experience with TV. Vince and Dunn Vince has 40 plus years, and I'm not sure how long Dunn's been there, but I don't know. As long as they just handle production side, they don't do booking and stuff like that, we're okay. We're all right.
Don't be putting those foul words in the universe, because I don't want to see Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon touching my precious NXT.
Wow, bro.
And NXT is not only a developmental place for the wrestlers, it's also a developmental place for the TV and the production guys as well. So if you get, Kevin Dunn in there taking over everything, then you don't have anybody replacing Kevin Dunn. So it's just, it's a monopoly. And we all know if Triple H ever takes over, the first person out is going to be Kevin Dunn. So it might be a dual package of resignation with Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn, because I don't think Kevin is going to be long if Triple H is in charge.
I don't know. We'll see, bud. All right. He also says, in terms of spears recently in WWE, Goldberg's nasty spear to Ziggler at SS was far better than the weak, cringy spears of Edge and Roman Reigns. Look, I've said it on the show so many times. Edge has the greatest spear of all time. All right. Now, was the impact at times hard? No, not really. I'm not gonna lie. But the psychology behind it, the getting in the corner, the telling them to come on, the just charging at him, spearing him, and then the hair and the eyes and the teeth. Storytelling, psychology. Come on, guys. When Roman hits a spear, he just kind of collapses on him. When Goldberg hits a spear, he's spitting every damn where.
I think for better or for worse, I think it's Goldberg, just because he has the football background. It looks legit. It's intense. And it's like the big boot with Hogan. Once he hits that spear and, he does the throat slice and sticks the tongue out, it's all over. And that jackhammer hits and Goldberg gets the dub.
You're next! I think that's how he sounds. All right, and Brightest Day X, our graphic designer, got some questions for you. Has the Bullet Club regained some street cred now that they have added Kenta to the mix?
I actually think that's very correct, because, the Bullet Club has definitely lost, maybe not its edge, but definitely its North American appeal now that the Elite guys have kind of left. And, I'm really high at Jay White, as I said earlier, but, they don't have that, the Elite and all those other guys. Kenta, yes, is a Japanese guy, but I think having this angle being shot, and maybe if they do some sort of thing with Kenta and Jay White down the line, that definitely could, up the status of the Bullet Club. And, I was happy to see it, because the Bullet Club has kind of fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, Kenta, he's a great addition to the BC. And he has an edgier feel to him now, and I'm really excited for what he's going to do with the Tongans and Jay White and those guys. All right, he also says, why do I love The Fiend so much, and how long will it be till the entire world lets him in? I let him Bray Wyatt a long time ago. Have you let him in, Brandon?
Well, sure, I've let him in, even though my mother said not to. Don't let strangers in.
You're right, buddy.
He's just so hypnotic. I had to.
And and just for the record, Goldberg has the best spear ever. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to take that, man. You guys are just hating on Edge.
He's a he's a Canadian.
Because,
the CFL is not a real football league. Goldberg played real American football.
Dude, bro, look, I'm tired of you hating on these Canadians. I'm gonna need
just wait till we get to the promo pick.
Oh my god. Copenhagen Smith, last one. King of the Ring is back. Philip must be happy. I've been saying it since this podcast has been started. They finally listened to us, man. Somebody's listening to us in Titan Towers. Somebody is, and I'm very happy that they are. Now we're gonna get into the Raw recap, because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it so you all can hear it. I might just let this. It's just like a 30-minute loop of Michael Cole saying "boss time." It's great. She's back. I said this so long ago. She needs to come back. She needs to be a heel, a mean, dirty heel. Why Natalya had her arm in a sling, paying homage to her late great father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The boss returned. The purple hair, which turned out to be a wig, she elbowed Natalya right in the face, threw off the wig. The hair's blue. She's beaten her to a pulp, and then the man came around and got her ass whooped by the boss. I'm down for it. Sasha Banks is back. Sasha's ratchet. No, she's not. I'm all for it. Banks versus Lynch. Sasha, baby girl, take that title off of Becky and have a nice long reign. The woman is about to beat the man's ass, and I'm all for it.
Well, I don't know how I can top that analysis, but I will try. I thought it was a very good angle. I mean, was like, why are they just going to have Natalya come out and talk at the top of the third hour? But we all knew why, because the boss came back and it was great. It was intense. I mean, it was kind of interesting that Corey Graves is a heel commentator and he's, going against Sasha Banks. So maybe Sasha's that one heel that everybody hates. And I mean, I liked it. It was intense. I like Sasha's, whole demeanor. I've always thought that she was better as a heel than a babyface. And we speculated on the SummerSlam recap, where does Becky go from here? And now we obviously see. I didn't know what was going to happen with Sasha Banks. And now that she's back, it's great. And maybe she'll take the title off of her, maybe not. But we will have to stay tuned and find out. But that chair shot to the back of the head, I know sometimes with your friends you can be a little bit more stiff and a little more aggressive, but that was not stiff, and that was just maybe a dangerous shot. And they're definitely playing that up.
This is the match in oh my god, what is it? In the Four Horsewomen connection that we haven't seen since what? It's been like 4 years since we've seen this. We've seen Charlotte and Sasha. They tore it up in 2016. Charlotte and Bayley was okay. Becky and Charlotte was hot fire. But look, I'm telling you, man. Banks and Lynch, that's going to be something very, very special. I guarantee it. All right? I'm ecstatic, man. I really am.
And, we classify them as Four Horsewomen, so maybe we assume that they all just get along and, Sasha is much more associated with Bayley. Maybe Becky, there are some real feelings against Sasha Banks, because there have been some pretty good and pretty scathing interview. It was a pretty scathing interview that Becky did over the past weekend, talking about Sasha.
By the way, yeah, like I was talking about, the gorilla position, they were in Toronto for SummerSlam, and they interviewed Becky, and Becky's like, no, she lost and she ran off like Ronda, the little weirdo. Wow, that's so they got some heat, they got some real heat, and I'm excited for it. I love heat.
This could be a whole lot of fun, storytelling-wise, in-ring wise. I think Sasha is the best wrestler in the Four Horsewomen, so you put Becky, who I think is number... I said it, and you already know who I'm going to say is number 4.
I know, Bayley, she's number 4. I love Bayley.
No, it's Charlotte. We all know it's Charlotte.
Dude! Look, Trish is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, greatest women's champion of all time. Charlotte's creeping in there, man. She's creeping. She's close. She's very close.
Well, first off, when you say women's wrestler, you have to say WWE wrestler, because the women over there in Japan would disagree with that.
Trish Stratus is the greatest women's champion ever, of all champions. I'll throw that out there. Come at me, Joshis. Come at me. I said it. No, Aja Kong will kick my ass. Let me stop.
But disrespect to Japan, it's almost like me in Canada.
Hey, man. Actually, I can't really hate on Japan. They got rid of that schmuck Kenny Omega. No, I'm just... If I can talk to Cody and kind of get him kicked out of AEW, then everything will be straight. You know what I mean?
And have Kenny Omega just go and live with El Generico.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kenny Omega can go wrestle in CMLL for all I care. Yeah. I said it. But we're going to move on. The OC targets Seth Rollins. So Seth, he's cutting a promo talking about how he beat the Beast again. You know what I noticed? 3 of Brock Lesnar's title reigns he has lost to Seth Rollins. 31, WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 35, and now SummerSlam 2019. What's up with that, man?
They don't call him the Beast Slayer for nothing.
Dude, the only time Brock Lesnar has ever beaten Seth Rollins in a title match Battleground 2015. It's when Undertaker showed up and kicked Brock in the family jewels.
Some facts there. That's why you're the wrestling historian.
Yeah, I dig deep in the dive for that one. But yeah, so the OC comes out and it sets up a match for later on in the night in which Seth Rollins defeats the United States champion AJ Styles via disqualification. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the match itself was all right. I really enjoyed the opening promo from Seth. That was a good babyface promo, maybe one of his better babyface promos. He's always kind of good as being the guy to rally around with the, kind of using the crowd with him and being like, oh, we did it together, and rah-rah, kind of babyface promo like that. So, I mean, I thought it was a good, kind of first step after beating Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. These past few weeks I was a little iffy on him because he wasn't really getting over, but, I mean, now it's kind of a fresh start. And we're have to see where he goes from here. And after the beatdown, then we get Braun making the run-in, which I enjoyed because I keep asking, don't babyfaces have friends and don't they stick together? And we finally saw that twice with Becky Lynch and Braun Strowman. And seemingly it looks like we're going to get Braun versus Seth at Clash of Champions. Don't know how they're going to do that, if they're going to get out of it with the schmaz, if they're going to have Seth go over. Maybe Braun goes over, but it's interesting.
Right now, for next week on Raw, we have Braun Strowman going up against AJ Styles for the United States Championship. I can see Braun winning it. I can. Kind of like when Big Show had the U.S. title.
I mean, I've kind of said this multiple times. Like, I don't think Braun should be that main event top tier guy just because,
here's a funny thing. I don't want to cut you off, but he did a recent interview.
But you did cut me off.
I'm sorry, brother. Sorry. And Braun had a recent interview, and he said he addressed why they haven't put the title on him. He's like, I don't really know. I'm not sure, but I'm not really sweating it. I got 4 more years with the company. I'm going to get it eventually. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I assume one of these days he's going to get one of the top titles. I mean, everybody in that top mix eventually gets a title shot or a title, put on him. But, I mean, I just think his matches and his character is just kind of one-dimensional. So I don't really know how you kind of tell those stories with him as the top champion to really put him in peril because he's so much bigger than everybody. The only people you can really have him, be viable threats to him is like Brock Lesnar, maybe like Drew McIntyre, guys of that nature.
True.
There's not a lot of guys on the roster who can be a viable heel against him unless you're going to turn him heel. But
you're right.
I mean, you don't want him to be turning back and forth kind of like AJ or Kurt or Big Show.
I absolutely understand, big man. I do. I really, really do. But it's just a matter of time before Braun eventually gets a championship in WWE. I'm fine with him being the U.S. champion. I don't need to see him in the main event title picture.
But he is like the greatest Royal Rumble champion, so he has won one championship.
Oh, wait, no, he was a tag team champion with a child. Let's not forget.
Shout out Nicholas.
Yeah.
Youngest WWE champion of all time.
You're really pushing it, man.
Until King Maxwell takes that spot from him.
Oh, I love King Maxwell. He's wonderful, yes. All right, we have Samoa Joe defeating Sami Zayn with the Coquina Clutch. Nice work by Joe. Nothing really to say about the match, honestly.
Yeah, kind of a burial of Sami Zayn, to be honest. He was, being a little chicken to Samoa Joe, and I was like, okay, Samoa Joe going to turn babyface. I like it. I speculated this last week, and then nope, he just turns on the crowd, and we're getting heel Samoa Joe again, which maybe this is kind of a slow burn of Joe eventually turning with the crowd, and that could be a fun story they can tell, but I think right now, him as a heel is fine, but I think down the line, kind of like Kevin Owens, I think he's a good babyface as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. We have the Miz defeating Dolph Ziggler with the figure 4. I haven't seen anybody lose with that move in a very long time. Dolph in street clothes gave it a nice little different feel. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, a burial of Sami Zayn followed by maybe a burial of Dolph Ziggler. The Miz gets his win, and then Ziggler does the same thing he did at SummerSlam. I don't know where they're going with his character, and then, as I said, where do you really go with Ziggler after this, and how can anybody take him seriously or take the opponent seriously if he goes 50-50 with them?
If he had just beaten Goldberg, wouldn't be having this problem. God.
But he didn't. So we do have this problem.
They listen to some things I say, but they don't listen to the major things I say. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they can't just take everything from us.
dude, look, like Trips, Vince, Shane, Steph, John Laurinaitis, Michael P.S. Hayes, Finley. I don't know who's listening, but guys, listen. Push my boy Dolph Ziggler. Give him the WWE Championship, not that red piece of crap. Give him the title of record, the world title, and push my boy Dolph. Give him 7 months. Let him have a great reign. Show him why he's a workhorse, the hardest working guy in the company. The show off DZ needs to be world champion before 2019's over. I said.
And I have a Dolph Ziggler WWE plaque commemorating his cash-in. If anybody is interested, DM the Bulletcast or DM me.
I need that. That's on lock for me. That's on lock for me. To hell with the rest of them.
Well,
Jesus.
We discussed $100.
Oh my God, kids are making a run in on the pod. You want to say hello, man? Yes, say hello.
Hello.
Oh my God, you're famous now. The kids have made a run in on the BC. Jesus Christ. All right, I gotta finish this. So go.
They're telling us to go home.
No, they are telling us to go home, but we have a lot of show to do. Goodbye, boy. Yeah. So we're gonna move on from that. Ricochet defeats Elias. Nice little roll up. Elias' shoulders were up, so maybe Elias versus Ricochet for the 24/7 title. We don't know.
Oh yeah, exactly what we thought Ricochet was going to land when he got called up to WWE.
Yes. Absolute hot fire. Andrade Cien Almas defeats Rey Mysterio. 2 out of 3 falls. Clean sweep in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah, another good solid match from these two guys. And then afterwards, Rey Mysterio sort of cuts a promo backstage, kind of talking about his family and maybe how he disappointed them. So we're going to get mopey Rey Mysterio, but then it's WWE. They're going to, plant a seed, and then they just never go. They plant the seed, but they never actually water it, and then the plant just dies.
Dies like Mitch. You remember Mitch?
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Mitch, dude. Yeah. All right, we also have Drew McIntyre and Cedric Alexander having a hot fire match with Drew going over. Kawam Shakir 90 hit us up, and he said McIntyre versus Alexander is the best main roster match of 2019. No other main roster match will top it. I don't know, man, because they gave me some hot fire. Then that Claymore kick is so beautiful. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the Claymore kick?
It's a devastating kick. It's definitely been put over very strong these past few months, especially since Drew McIntyre got called up. I thought it was a really good match. I think a similar match would be the Roman Reigns Buddy Murphy match on SmackDown. I don't know which one was better. A tough call, maybe Buddy Murphy and Roman Reigns, just because I think Buddy Murphy hasn't been downgraded as much as Cedric was. So I didn't really feel as though Cedric really had a chance. I thought, McIntyre was going to win that whole time, but definitely a good showing by both these guys. And I thought, when the feud first started, I was kind of down on it. I'm still kind of opposed to it, but I will say it did turn out better than I thought it was.
Okay, hey, that's all we can really ask for here, man. Robert Roode, I wish he would just have the mustache again, defeats No Way Jose. Congratulations, Robert Roode. I've been a fan of him for years. Another great Canadian, by the way, Brandon. And No Way Jose is absolute trash. To hell with him.
This match was basically just there to bridge to a Paul Heyman promo, which I thought was fine. And, I thought it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, guys, don't change this channel. We have this Paul Heyman promo coming up. So stick through this 2-minute Robert Roode and No Way Jose match.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, the 24/7 title, the Revival pin R-Truth, so they're both the champion. R-Truth defeats Scott Dawson of the Revival. He's the champion. Then Elias defeats R-Truth, and Elias is the champion. Yeah.
Yeah, more shenanigans. We thought maybe with Maria being champ, they're going to go in a different direction. I don't know where you go with Elias because, we've kind of been there, done that, not with the 24/7 title, but just with our, Elias shenanigans. So who knows? Maybe, he's going to come out and give us a concert and then 50 people come out and rush him.
Absolutely. Or Shane could just suspend the 24/7 rules for when he gives concerts.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, man. I just do that all the time. Become the greatest 24/7 champion of all time. All right, the Viking War Raider Experience defeat Carter Mason and Sebastian Suave. It's a jobber match. It's a squash. We all know what happens here. The Viking War Raider Experience wins. And then the Women's Tag Team titles, Twisted Bliss, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defeat the Kabuki Warriors. They retain their titles.
It was a fine match. Nothing really to write home about. Nobody got hurt, and that's all I can ask for.
That is all we can ask for. All right, SmackDown Live. Daniel Bryan and Rowan expose a lie. So, after the Buddy Murphy and Roman Reigns match, Buddy Murphy's in the locker room and they press Murphy up against the wall, and Murphy says that he lied about Rowan being the culprit. And then later on in the show, Roman Reigns comes face to face with Bryan and Rowan, and they say that they're going to expose the culprit to him next week. What are your thoughts on those segments?
The segments were fine. I don't know exactly how well it puts over Buddy Murphy that he gets, shaken down twice and he just says whatever the person wants him to say. So that doesn't really, build him in the best of light. But I think in the end, it's just going to lead back to Daniel Bryan. And I think Daniel Bryan's been funny yet intimidating in both segments. So I thought, giving Daniel Bryan that was fun. Still wish we found out what his career-altering announcement was, if there even was one, but
This is his career-altering announcement. He's going to end the career of Roman Reigns.
or that he tried to murder a man. So maybe that's his career-altering announcement.
I mean, dude, Roman Reigns almost committed vehicular manslaughter on Braun a few years back. Let's not forget.
So you're saying it's karma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Karma
okay.
really is a beep. You know what I mean? All right, we're going to move on. Roman Reigns defeats Buddy Murphy. Oh my God. Look, it was better than I thought. It was just a taste, honestly. They could have buried Murphy, but no. They gave him spots to really kind of get one up on Reigns here at times. Hell of a match. The sell on the spear was magnificent. Buddy Murphy, I love him. I love me some BM, man. I do. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this match was good. As I said, I thought this was better than the McIntyre and Alexander match, which I thought was comparable. Also kind of comparable to some of the Will Ospreay matches in G1 just because, he faces against the bigger names. He puts up a really good fight, but then in the end he loses, but yet he still gains something from putting up such a tough fight.
Yeah, look, you don't have to win all your matches to go over. You can have an awesome match, lose, and still be put over in a way. You know what I mean? Kind of like what you just said.
But I just hope he doesn't lose. He's not going up against Daniel Bryan next week, and then he puts up, they have a fantastic match, maybe even better than this week, but yet he loses. I think, you can do that to a point, like Ospreay, he lost to Okada, but then he beat Tanahashi. So I think sometimes you need to mix it in there. Maybe not, 50-50 booking per se, but you need to give him some important wins against the bigger names as well.
Absolutely. By the way, before SmackDown, the pre-show dark match was Ali versus Andrade, and Ali won. I heard it was hot fire, though.
I mean, it sounds like a good match. As I said last week, I wish Ali was not losing to Dolph Ziggler, especially since Ziggler just got fed to Goldberg, so that just defines Ali down even more. But then we're going to be here 2-3 weeks from now, and we're going to get Ali versus Shinsuke, probably a Clash of Champions, and we're just going to forget about that Ali Ziggler match even happened.
Oh, I won't forget. Anytime my boy DZ wins, I never forget.
Because those wins are few and far between.
Wow, honestly, just give me the plaque. Like, how dare you? How dare you talk about Dolph like that? Dolph was very nice to me when I met him. He gave me a hat.
The only reason that plaque has any real value is because AJ and Biggie, I think, are on it.
Oh my God. He's not from Canada. Why are you burying him?
I mean, I buried Randy Orton. He's not from Canada.
Dude, what is your problem?
Maybe it's just because I've seen 4 consecutive shows in Canada. I've just been in such a rough mood.
I don't know. Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens have a promo to open up SmackDown. Kevin Owens is fined $100,000 for attacking an official, a.k.a. Elias. Yeah, man. 100 racks.
Yeah, similar to the Seth Rollins promo that opened up Raw. I thought this was good as well. I was disappointed. I think everyone kind of felt like Kevin Owens did once Shane McMahon's music hit. Like, oh, God, we're still going to be doing this. We're going to still get Shane McMahon. But hopefully he gets put over even stronger against Shane. I'm just hoping they don't stretch this out to Hell in a Cell and we get like Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon in a cell.
Oh, God. It's 2017 all over again. I don't know where the story's going to go. If Kevin had just lost, everything would be okay. But no. Couldn't do that. Could not do that.
I think you're just salty because you bet on the old men to win, and they didn't, and that means I
didn't bet on Goldberg.
Well, you bet against. You know what? The old man matches really done you in.
Look, I should be the champion right now, okay? I really should. You know what? The next time I win that title, I don't care if I win it at All Out. We won't defend it until SummerSlam of next year. God damn it. That's how mad I am right now.
Want some pepper with that salt? Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Samoa Joe defeats Kevin Owens. Quick count. Elias was the referee. It was, we're going to move on from that. Apparently, she's the fourth best of the... She's last place of the four horsewomen? Charlotte? Really?
I said it. Hot takes.
I don't know why...
Maybe she's number 3. Maybe. Maybe she's better than Bayley. But
her father is the greatest wrestler of all time.
But she isn't.
Oh my god. Look, Charlotte Flair defeats Ember Moon. Ember's had a hell of a couple of days wrestling at SummerSlam for a woman's title and then taking the L to the greatest wrestler of all time's daughter. Yeah.
Maybe I will have Charlotte number 3 because I did think this match was probably better than the Bayley match on SummerSlam. So there you go. Charlotte's number 3 now. You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Also, we have the Revival with Randy Orton defeat the New Day, and Orton's just dropping RKOs all over the damn place.
Yeah, I mean, good, solid, multi-man tag match. And the heel goes over strong at the very end to continue the feud. So, you have to see where it goes. Maybe they stretch this out to Hell in a Cell, but should be fine. I don't think Kofi's going to lose the title. I think he's going to hold on through this feud, and I think Kofi will be champion on that first Fox SmackDown.
And Shane McMahon beats him. I'm still pulling for it.
I hope not.
What if I'm right, Brandon? What would you do if I'm right?
If Shane McMahon is walking around with the WWE Championship, I might just quit watching WWE altogether. I don't even care if I'm doing podcasts about it.
Why? You can't just leave me like that, bro.
I can read the reports and listen to the podcast. I just won't watch it.
Dude, wow. Vince had it?
Does that make it any better?
Okay, Vince had it for a week, okay? It wasn't that bad. It's not like he had a 434-day run with it. He had it for 7 days. You know?
And
Dude, look, you're telling me if you were running WWE, you wouldn't book yourself to win the world title?
No, because I'm not a mark.
Oh, dude, if you're not a mark for yourself, then who's putting you over, brother?
I don't know. Make other people put me over. I'm not going to put myself over.
Sometimes I'm not even going to say what I was about to say. That would have sounded really bad. We're just
You just got to do you. You just got to do you. You do you, boo.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It was going to be something. I would have got so much heat on the internet for that one. All right, Superstar Spotlight. Who do we got? You know what, Kenta? You joined the BC. You joined the Bullet Club. You're my Superstar Spotlight, buddy.
Let's continue with the New Japan theme. I'll go with Kota Ibushi. Had a stellar G1 Climax. Fantastic matches throughout the tournament. Capped it off with Jay White. Hopefully those Ishii and Kenta matches are going to be fantastic as well. Hopefully his ankle heals up. And yeah, shout out to Kota Ibushi.
All right, Brandon, why don't you tell us about our promo pick of the week? Take it away.
Well, the promo pick of the week isn't really a promo per se. It is a segment. I think the first ever time we've had these two as a promo pick. We have the Dirt Sheet, that is Miz and John Morrison, and they decided to do an entire episode of the Dirt Sheet about Canada, and they buried Canada the entire time, so you know this is probably the best promo we have ever done on this podcast. And They go to like, what? Anyways,
okay.
They go in line to some Canadian show, and the Canadians just, bury themselves because they're Canadian.
I would never bury myself. I'm always putting myself over, brother.
We just found that out a few minutes ago. You put the title on yourself if you're booking the territory.
Whoa. I mean, you're right, but All right, yeah, the promo, it was typical Dirt Sheet stuff. This was interesting back in the day. This stuff was always on WWE.com, and I think back when MySpace was still around, that some of these kind of aired on there. But yeah, Miz and Morrison, great tag team. I miss those boys. I miss them a lot. They were part of the reason why I would watch the WWE ECW. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even, because this was kind of the time where I wasn't watching WWE, so this might have been the first ever dirt sheet I've ever seen.
You took a break?
I've said it multiple times.
What?
2007, 2009 area is a little foggy for me.
What? 2008 was probably the greatest year in WWE history.
I think 1999 was.
Oh my God! What?
I think WWE's pocketbooks and everything would tell you that probably 1999 was their best year ever.
Dude, the Flair Shawn match, it hit me in my feel spot. Taker and Edge's rivalry. My boy CM Punk won the world title. I mean, what's wrong with you?
I was like a freshman in high school, and I thought I was too cool for wrestling.
That's completely understandable. All right, our closed match pick of the week: the Nation of Domination of The Rock and Mark Henry going up against the New Age Outlaws, the Badass Billy Gunn, the Road Dogg Jesse James for the WWF Tag Team Championship of the World. Monday Night Raw, September 5th, 1998. This was actually Saturday Night Raw. Actually, I'm mistaken. This was the first Raw after SummerSlam, which the SummerSlam of '98 featured Triple H and The Rock in that amazing ladder match they had with the yellow ladder, and Triple H walks out the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, maybe one of the greatest ladder matches of all time. Everyone talks about Razor and Shawn, but you got to throw that Rock Triple H SummerSlam match in there as well. The main event with Stone Cold and Undertaker, probably a little disappointing, but they've talked about it on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, that maybe it was, neither guy wanted to be the babyface, neither one guy wanted to be the heel in that situation. So sometimes you have a babyface feud. It doesn't always work out in terms of box office and crowd heat.
You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. Thoughts on the match, though?
Good, solid match from these four guys. I mean, on Monday Night Raw during that time, you wouldn't really get a whole lot of spectacular wrestling, so nothing really out of the ordinary with this tag team match. But, everybody in that era was over at the time, so you can get away with some of the lackluster wrestling.
That's very right. And that's just another thing that goes back to this era. Like, the setup was just a giant screen. The wrestling wasn't really all that good, but the characters were so over, And
that's all that really matters. As long as the characters draw money and draw in the fans and everything, it doesn't matter how great the matches are. Because as long as the fans keep coming back and cheering, the matches can be boo-boo, but the crowd likes it. Keep giving them more.
Oh, have you seen Straight Up Steve Austin yet?
I did. I watched it right after Raw went off the air.
How was that?
It was a good, solid, 30 minutes. It's kind of similar to the Jerry Seinfeld show on Netflix. It's just kind of two celebrities hanging out, shooting the breeze with Rob Riggle. I didn't even know he was a Marine, so shout out to him. They went to go shoot some things, ran over cars with a tank, and they marinated and fried up some chicken.
Hey, man. Steve Austin will be here in the Bay Area for Silicon Valley Comic-Con in San Jose. Make sure you check that out next week. Go meet Stone Cold Steve Austin. Have a Steve Weiser Stone Cold IPA. You never know.
And next week they're going to have Salvo, whatever his name is, from Impractical Jokers. Really big wrestling fan. Always in attendance when they're in the New York area.
Dude, Impractical Jokers is hilarious. It really is. Shout out Sal. I love Sal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Twitter at Bulletcast, Instagram, The Bulletcast, YouTube channel, The Bulletcast. Email us at bulletcast2 sweet SWET at gmail.com. 99.9 FM, KW, and Watsonville every Friday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Patreon. Pro Wrestling T/Bulletcast. We're all over the damn place, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing the damn thing. Brandon and I next week on Wednesday. If you want to see us in person, APW, September 27th. Pentagon and Phoenix will be back. Joey Ryan will be back. We're interviewing another performer that night. And then, if you're in the Bay Area, the last Raw before... Actually, the last back-to-back Raw and SmackDown. I'm sorry. We're going to be at one of those shows, the Monday Night Raw, September. Don't know the date, but if you see Brandon and myself, come say hi. Also, I will be at the Chase Center in September for a Janet Jackson concert, getting my Rhythm Nation on, kicking it like it's 1989, baby. Brandon, this has been a fun recording, man.
It has been good, and if my calendar is correct, I believe that is September 23rd, so that is the same week as the APW show. It's going to be a big week for wrestling in the Bay Area.
It is going to be a big week for wrestling in the Bay Area, baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the BC, the Canadian Destroyer, and the Canadian Sympathizer are signing off. Aye.
This has been the broadcast. Thank you for listening.